he knows all. He truly knows everything. But if that's the case, why is the Lord saying that I will go down and take a peek and see if what they've done is as bad as what I'm hearing they've done? That's not the same as saying, I already know what's going on down there. I don't have to take a trip. Why is it saying this? Welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I'm going to continue to read this Bible from page 1 to the last page. I mean, they're all different pages because the size of the font changes from book to book. We're at Genesis 18. A lot has happened already. It's just getting weirder and weirder. This feels like the frog. You put a frog into a pot of boiling water, it's going to hop out. You put a frog into a pot of, cool water and turn up the heat slowly, it'll stay in there till you cook it. This is what it feels like. It's like Adam and Eve, just one little serpent, whatever, they ate a tree, they got banished, Well, yeah, Cain killed Abel. There were sacrifices. No mention of what the sacrifices mean, but, that was happening. Oh, had to kill everyone. That was crazy, but I was grieved. I didn't like it. Had a flood. Everything's cool now, Then there's a guy that takes 3 animals, cuts them up into half, blood everywhere, lays them out. It's getting weirder and weirder. Now I'm telling you to cut skin off your dicks. It's just getting more bizarre. Now we're into Genesis chapter 18, and let's see what happens. If you are enjoying these videos, subscribe. All right, Genesis chapter 18. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, where he's been living there the whole time, more or less, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. Just went right down. This is how they greeted people in that day, probably. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way now that you have come to your servant." So by the way, my Lord is lowercase here. So he's not talking to the Lord. He's talking to these people. Referring to all 3 of them as one Lord. I think he means my lords, but this is a great host. If I had dusty feet, I would be like, this guy is nice. He's bowing low. He's like, hey, if you find favor in me, let me wash your feet, or at least get you water. I'm not going to do the washing. And let me get you something to eat. Hagar, let me get you something to eat. This is my second wife, Hagar. I actually have tons of slaves. So get them something to eat. Very well, they answered. Do as you say. There's nicer ways to say that. Be like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'd love to. So Abraham hurried to the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get 3 seahs of fine flour and knead it to bake some bread. We know he's got servants. He's got a whole friggin' house of people. Like this is it sounds like it's like a city. He's got a lot of people involved. He's got 318 or had 318 just like men, soldiers in the household. Okay? It's a town. Why is he getting Sarah to do anything? She's 100 years old. You know what I mean? Or maybe she's still like in her 90s. But it's like, get one of the slaves to do it. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. Cheese has been around forever. As soon as they had milk, they probably had cheese. Where is your wife Sarah? They asked him. So they know about Sarah? I wonder why they know about Sarah. I wonder if he's mentioned her already. Maybe he was like, Sarah's making the bread. Where is your wife, Sarah? There in the tent, he said. Then the Lord said, the big cheese is jumping in now. I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. Yeah. Not only was she past the age of childbearing, she had been barren the whole time. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I'm worn out and my master is old, I will now have this pleasure. My master. We know that men rule over women. That's been going on since the time of Adam. Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Where is the Lord here? Is he just like hanging out with these three men? This is not that clear. I'm sorry. I'm just having a hard time picturing it. Is anything too hard for the Lord? I don't know. You got tired when you made the earth, which fair enough. I mean, that's 6 hard days, but you did get tired. I mean, so maybe not too hard, but it does wear you out. I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. I already said that. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. I got to tell you that last chapter, God told Abraham he's going to be father of whatever, and Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? So Abraham laughed too. I mean, it is laughable. But Sarah's scared of God. God is scary. Sarah's like, I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh. Sorry, God. Sorry, Lord, who's physically there. But he's like, yeah, you did laugh. And guess what's going to happen? We'll see what happens. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? So I wonder if this is just like God and a couple angels, or like, except it says the men got up to leave. They looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. And then the Lord said, who's like there too, or one of them, Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. This is the first time we learn that the way of the Lord is just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. So it's like the Lord, when the Lord talks, he's like, do you guys think I should tell him what I'm going to do to Sodom? Because he's going to be a great nation, and he's going to have a lot of, and everything, and everyone is going to follow the way of the Lord. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you changing the subject so quickly? Just stay on, tell me what's going to happen. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see what they have done, and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. So I saw in a video recently that William Lane Craig claimed that God knows everything, and there's no passing of time in his knowing. He knows everything that has been, that will be, that could be, that would have been if something had gone differently. He knows all. He truly knows everything. But if that's the case, why is the Lord saying that I will go down and take a peek and see if what they've done is as bad as what I'm hearing they've done? And I'll know if it's not as bad as people are saying. I'll know. That's not the same as saying, I already know what's going on down there. I don't have to take a trip. Why is it saying this? I'm going to believe this. God doesn't know everything. The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it?" Also, we don't know what righteous means. And I obviously God knows, because he's the one that's making it up. But we don't know what righteous is. We don't know what sin is. We've heard wicked. We've heard of sin. There's not a lot of that going on. It's not like constantly talking about it. But in the covenant, God's saying, yeah, Abraham's going to do things that are right and just. Like, these are concepts that are there, but we don't know what they entail. What is Sodom doing wrong? And what does it mean to be righteous? That's not defined. Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? This shows us that in the time of Noah, every single human being, like in the whole entire world at that time, there were a handful. It was Noah and his kids' wives and his wife. Those were the only people that were righteous, I guess. Because it says here, it makes this claim that far be it from you, will not the judge of the earth do right? And that is an interesting thing, that it's Abraham's morality to say that it's right to spare the lives of those who are not wicked, those who are righteous. The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke up again. Let's see if we can negotiate even further. Now that I have been so bold to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I find 45 there, he said, I will not destroy it. Once again, he spoke to him. Abraham spoke to God, I'm guessing. What if only 40 are found there? He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there? He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Abraham said, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, he's cowering. He's being he's like, and I think it might be, if this isn't the truest of all true stories, this is very much like a fairy tale. They read in this way where it's just like, well, how about this then? Well, how about this then? Well, how about this then? But every time we still need to show that the Lord is a big deal. He's super powerful. He is, as we've been told for the first time in this, he is the judge, which they've capitalized it here, of the earth. We still need Abraham to be respectful and to not step out of line. So we have to write it in such a way that he's like, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found? He said, okay, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. I'm just putting in there that God's getting frustrated because it's getting repetitive. Also, he knows where this is going if he is all-knowing. I don't think he is, but, if he were, he'd be like, I know, why don't just jump to the end part? Then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. That's a city. For the sake of 10, babies, he might still send a worldwide flood. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. So he's like, we're setting up this like, if God's going to do something horrific, like the flood, but like ignore that. But if he was going to do something horrific, like destroy a town or a people, it's going to be because there's like barely, if like one or two righteous people. And that is the right thing to do, according to Abraham, sorry. Anyway, that's chapter 18, but we'll see what happens. I have a feeling it's not going to go well for Sodom, and maybe it won't even go well for Gomorrah. But we'll see what happens in episode 19. Thanks for watching. Leave comments and let me know what I got wrong, if I tripped over too many words. And I usually edit that out. And if some of my jokes are just inappropriate or nonsense or whatever, thank you for being here. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.